Can you guys all hear me? Can you all hear me? Okay. All right. Right. So today we're going to look at mock 6. Again, mock 6 was a lengthier paper, 24 questions, lengthier than the usual. Anywhere between 20 to 24 is what we expect. So this is some better things that we did. Had 2 paragraphs, nice ones. No, 3 I guess. Not 3 paragraphs, last 2 questions. And then it had 3 para summaries and the other one was 2. Yes? Was that disruptive? Out of the 4 paragraphs, the first paragraph was about social side. मजा आ गया पढ़ के बहुत अच्छा लगा. Which order did you do the paragraph passages? Passages first. Which order? 1, 2, 3. Okay. All right. What was your score? Verbal. Huh? You didn't write mark. Mark I will do it. Please go back. I never send people out, you know that. It's not that I'm angry at you. You are losing something out by sitting in this class. You can go back, write the mock, watch the recording. No, these cool, but this mock don't sit. Okay, or do nothing, just ask to the usually they don't let you in terms of writing. Aksar, come to just scroll. 15, 1, 5, okay. 10. नहीं लिखा. 9, 20, 21. Hey, did you get other thing selected? Other than 36 and did you find it out?
Excuse me, sir.
So how much are you telling?
Sir, your voice isn't audible. Your voice isn't audible, sir. It's really low.
My voice isn't audible now. Are you all facing the same issue? Okay, my voice is breaking.
Yes, sir. It was like bits and pieces.
Okay, now is it fine? Okay, now it's better, right? Even now my voice is breaking.
But it's still the same.
It's still breaking. Okay. I'll do one thing. I mean, this share is between you. Give me one. Just give me one moment. I'm going to share this. So this was the first passage. How many of you have attempted this passage? Yes. Okay, guys, online, all you can't see it. How many of you have attempted first passage? Can you guys hear me? do about this and display it. One question. Yeah. Can you guys hear me now? Is it better now? Please. Can you guys see the screen? Audio and video both are different. No, the video I can understand. Video problem I have. Yes, now is the voice better? My dear friends online. Now can you hear me better? Yes, okay. All right. I have my PPT as well, which I'll share with you. Okay. Right. So any words that you don't know from all of this? What does that word quaint mean? Quaint, quaint. Feeble. No. I know feeble, weak, but no. No, quaint is not weak. Quaint is unusual. Okay. Okay. Now what about the question here? If people were only to expose themselves to the perspectives, if people were only to expose themselves to the perspectives from the other side, it would breed greater understanding and cooperation. Yet often this intuition turns out to be flawed. What does this mean? And which of the following is the reason for the author to consider such actions to be flawed? What are your answers? Two. B. Did you attempt this? Okay, after mock, you analyze it. What? You didn't write. Right. Mock discussion is for that purpose. Yeah, now I think all of you can see my screen as well. Right, so we are at this question. One, two. Now, where are we getting that particular thing in the passage? Is it a specific detailed question? What type of question? From the part of social psychologists? Yes, sociologist Christopher Baer offered sets of liberals and conservatives money to follow a bot that would retweet messages from politicians, media companies, and pundits every day for a month. Importantly, the message always came from the other side of the political spectrum. Far from promoting harmony, it backfired. So, what was the meaning of it? It meant that he wanted to basically take other people's messages, put this to them, and see if that could create some kind of a peace, some kind of harmony. But that itself backfired. So there was some kind of a flaw over there. Okay, now in the question he's saying that people were to expose themselves to perspectives of the other side, then it would breed greater harmony. But it kind of backfired. It turns out to be flawed. Why is what is asked? So B option says any exposure only to the other messages would make the politicians counteract in order to prove their own views and agenda. What does that mean? Yes. That means they would start defending. Why not D? Any benefit that may arise from such measure may make the whole scenario less important, further reducing options available to the people. Now, did we have a problem with the less options except for anywhere except for the first paragraph? No. That means that's not really the challenge. The challenge is not that they have less options. The challenge is that they are being represented with less choices. Okay. And that less choices is not happening because of ideological differences. It's happening because of affective differences. And in very simple examples, if we look at Andhra Pradesh scenario also, people here vote for a leader because that caste. Okay. It does not matter if that guy is actually going to do what they want. Okay. So such things are emotional differences. That is us versus them. All right. So how many of you got all the 4 questions in this passage correct? No? 3, you, 2, 1. You didn't do this passage. You also did. 2, 2, 1. Okay. So was this question correct for you people? Yes, for you, yes. Yes. You didn't attempt this, attempt it now. No, no, attempt it. Come on. I should attempt karo. Kar liya? Very good. Nice. All the 9 of them. That's kind of what we want. No? So do this. You got this correct? Okay. Okay. We'll go around. Sumant, are you attempting this? Did you attempt this? Then attempt it. Choose now. Oh. Is it not visible from you? Good. Chakri, this is the kind of answer that you gave last time. What's the answer to this question? A, first one. Yes. So why were people concerned that there will be less polarization? Because less polarization means less choice. Okay. But as long as those choices are ideologically strong, people don't have a problem. Okay. So here the clear answer is A. Why not C? What kind of an answer is C? Anand mentioned said. Okay, but polarization is essential to. Huh? No, I get it. No, he also said the same thing, that harmony is not mentioned in the passage, but he did mention harmony somewhere in the passage. Right. Okay. Cool. Yeah. So polarization is essential to ensure harmony, as it gives an opportunity to citizens to affiliate with a group that has compatible views. Again, now it's not the main aim of why less polarization is going to be negative. So this is for us going to be an inconsistent answer, not an output. Yes, what about this question? Which was the following statements. How many of you have attempted this question? You got it now. Okay. How many of you are confused between A and B? Okay. Fine, take your time, do this. It's a good question. This is a nice question. Only those two options are closed. The other two you can easily eliminate. Okay, that's why I'm asking you directly about those two options. This is an instance-based question. Let's see. Question. Emotional and physical, ideal or plan. In a way, yes, but more than that, it's to do with how we are looking at choice. If it has to do with effective polarization. I think emotional is called effective polarization. So effective polarization by healing phase. Now see in A option, what's he telling us? People have been loyal with their political leaders because such affiliation gives citizens a way to fulfill their political demands. Okay. And why do you feel this is more direct? Yeah. Effective way मतलब अच्छा लगना feeling, it's some kind of feeling. It's not that they are getting something out. Okay, नीचे में देखो, it's more a matter of necessity than choice. ये करना है हमको. And this, the reason I told you this has little to do with your affective demands and more to do with in group or group, is because here, in group or group, because here it's more of a necessity that you go with your group, that you go with people that you are polarized with. Throughout the passage, if you read carefully, you would come to this realization that चलो मान लो बैच 6 अच्छा है कि बैच 7 अच्छा है. अगर मैंने ये पूछ लिया, what will you guys do? You don't know. Fine. If I ask you, इसको देख के तुमको थोड़ा अच्छा लगता है कि some random guy को देख के अच्छा लगता है? You feel better looking at him. You feel warmer looking at him. At least that's what the passage says. I don't know what's Ashwati. Okay. Now the reason for that is because this guy belongs to our. Okay. The same thing happens in option B if you look carefully. It's more a matter of necessity than choice that people choose to become polarized in that. That means first I'm choosing who I have to be with. And then according to that, I'm choosing my idea. Okay. It is necessity, not a choice. In the passage, he's also mentioned examples of, where, not examples, the idea wherein two random people from random political groups, they could come together and agree on a lot of ideologies without knowing which political group they're of. Correct? I don't know. You look now. What happens? Okay. Right. So such ideas, together we can only infer that, yes, people are going into a group for the group, not really for that idea. So they're having to make that choice through necessity. It's not really a choice for them. Not because of their ideologies that they're choosing these politicians, but it's because of politicians that they're choosing those ideologies. Okay. Are you clear? But let's very. Did you get it? No. ఎందుకు నాకు Yeah. How many of you solved this? Did you get it correct? Both of you? The rest of you did not attempt it? Huh? You did. You did it wrong and you marked it wrong. Basically, you did it wrong. Okay, fine. Okay. Suman, did you do this? No, do it. Yes. Oh, sorry. My bad. Can you see this question?
Yes.
Done? All of you could complete this? All right, what's the answer? C? All of you, is it clear that it's C? Do I need to explain this? Now, this can be taken, see, if you're not getting instance-based questions directly, take them as your specific detailed questions. Go back to the same strategy that you used to apply for specific details. Kya tha? You go to that line. Where are they talking about false polarization in the passage? Bottom nunchi second or third paragraph. Right. So go back to this part, read 2 lines about 2 lines below, get a context. From that you can infer. Okay. So what does he say? Let's go 2 lines back. When Pushpa thought about specific ideas and instance with different calculations often turn out to agree more than they did. Okay. Or at least the differences are not as stark as they imagine. What is stark? Clear, very big, the gap being very big. Okay. As psychologist Anne Wilson and her colleagues put in a recent paper, persons often oppose one another vehemently, even when there is little actual daylight between their policy preferences, which are often tenuously held and contextually malleable. Malleable means easy to change. In this context, it's easy to change. And for chemistry, but malleable and spreadable. Yes. Yeah. But okay. So here, what does this line mean? Persons often oppose each other vehemently. That means they are very, very happy. They are very, very excitedly opposing each other. Vehemently is with complete force. Okay, ekdam zabardast. Right. Even when there is little actual daylight between their policy preferences. That means there's actually little difference between the preferences of the policy. Come as surprise to persons themselves. So, sorry. Which often are tenuously held. Tenuously held matlab they hold it after a lot of hard work. ऐसा नहीं है कि हम मजे में वो लोग ये it's not like they believe in those things completely. Okay, बहुत मेहनत करके they are trying to hold those principles. Yes, and they're contextually malleable also. Correct. So now can I say that it makes people divide on either side of doubts with respect to the beliefs because it's on the nature part. Why do citizens dislike one another and all? So if you just read these 4 or 5 lines, you can clearly understand that C is the only one that's not being told about from false polarization. Yeah. Yes. Okay, so how many of you have done second passage? You have done second passage. Aditya, you have not done. You have done? Okay. No. No. Okay, start. చదవడం చదివేవా ఇప్పుడు చదివేవా ఎట్లా ఏం వర్డ్స్ ఉన్నాయండి అబొరిజినల్ అవి ఇప్పుడు ఒక కుక్ ఉన్నాడు అనుకోరా నీ కుక్కను నువ్వేమో ఇంట్లో పెట్టుకున్నావు అనుకో డొమెస్టిక్ వదిలేస్తే అది స్ట్రీట్ మీద కాదులే రోడ్ల మీద కాదు తేడా జంగల్లోకి ఎక్కడైనా తీసుకు వదిలే వైల్డ్ యానిమల్ ఎక్కడ అవునా నువ్వు అందులో ఒకవేళ వదిలేసావు అనుకో కొన్ని ఏళ్ల తర్వాత కొన్ని ఏళ్ళు అంటే కొన్ని జనరేషన్స్ తర్వాత that dog will become into the aboriginal species అంటే మనకి the dog which will be a result of that generation will become an aboriginal species. Aboriginal species is where they came from, they're going back. Okay, I'll explain this passage. Read it. Have we done? All of you? Did you finish this passage? What is he trying to tell? It said that all domestic varieties, if left to run, would revert to the aboriginal stock. If there's a domestic variety of any breed, okay, let's consider a dog for this entire passage. Consider the simple example of your house dog. Okay, you take it, you leave it in the wild, let some 5 to 6 generations go away. It might become the same wolf that it came out to be. I mean, it started out from. That's the supposition they're starting. Probably they would, wherever various species, wherever various races of one species were left to commingle, at least the aboriginal or exaggerated characteristics induced by high feeding or high cultivation and prolonged close breeding would promptly disappear, and surviving stock would soon blend into a homogeneous result, which would naturally be taken in the original form. Okay, big sentence. Let's break it down again. Probably they would, wherever various races of one species were left to commingle. That means, let's take the same species. Species means dog. Various races. Races means types of dogs. Okay, so wherever there are different types of dogs and you've left them to commingle. Commingle means to mix. Okay, at least the abnormal or exaggerated. That means the difference of the characteristics which are induced either by high feeding or high breeding, whatever is the reason, might disappear. Okay, they might disappear very easily. That means what? You take a dog of one breed, you take another dog of another breed, and you or take 3-4 dogs, put them all at the same place, give them same food, give them same kind of cultivation, everything. Their individual differences might go down. That's what he's trying to say. But we could seldom know if it was so. That means he's saying that it should happen like this, but we don't know if that's the actual case is happening. We don't know exactly if it's happening. It's by no means certain that the result would be the same races stand wild, each in a separate region. That means instead of putting all the races together and letting them commingle, if I let each race in one separate region, will this happen or not? There's no certainty. Okay. Dr. Hooker doubts if there is a true reversion in that case, in the case of plants. That means now see, reversion means what? From this context, we can understand that going back into your aboriginal form is reversion. Okay. So here Dr. Hooker is worrying about or wondering about whether this is possible in plants. Charles Darwin's observations rather favor it in the animal kingdom, with mingled races reversions seem well made out in the case of pigeons. That means Charles Darwin spoke about these reversions and all in the case of pigeons. I mean, he said that we can observe it in the case of pigeons. The common opinion upon this subject, therefore, probably has some foundation. But even if we regard varieties as oscillations around a primitive center or type, still it appears from the readiness with which such varieties originate that a certain amount of digital risk would carry them beyond the influence of primordial attraction, where they may become the new centers of variation. It's put in a format that's dense, but it's a small passage. It is a dense passage, but a small passage. The only thing is you'll have to once slowly understand it, slowly read and understand. You can't understand it as you read. Maybe if you are not very familiar with science. See, biology, even I'm not very familiar with. Very honestly, I stopped reading biology in my 10th grade. But I can tell you what this might mean, what the sentence might mean. Think of it like if you're an engineer. Mechanical touch ఉంటుంది కదా. Think of a pendulum graph. This is your center. You're having oscillations from one side to the other side. This much of a disturbance makes this a species. If there's this much of a disturbance makes this a species. This much zero disturbance makes this species continue. This much of a disturbance makes this species. Okay. Now, after this is done, because of any disturbance that is coming, maybe from here, this could act as a primordial new center. So this was our original. This was our, let's call it child 1, child 2, child 3, child 4. Now child 1 could again act as the new center, wherein any disturbance on this oscillatory standard would produce more new breeds. Some suppose that races cannot be perpetuated indefinitely even by keeping up the conditions under which they were fixed, but the high antiquity of several and the actual fixity of many of them negative this assumption. It should be negate this assumption. Okay, so what does this mean? This means that we can't keep on perpetuating races whenever we want or till whenever we want. Okay, even if the conditions were kept to be fixed. That means we cannot get the same exact race again and again with keeping all those conditions also. Something or the other is bound to change. Okay, but because of that great past, because of the past that they have and the actual fixity that they have, fixity and whatever the unchangeable characteristics that they have in them. Okay, many of them even negate this assumption that we need some kind of assumption to assert that we could not breed our cart and race horses, long and short horned cattle, and poultry of various breeds for almost an infinite number of generations would be opposed to all experience. That means to negate this experience, we breeding so many different things for so many generations is a negation of that entire assumption and what is this. Okay. Why varieties develop so readily and deviate so widely under domestication, while they are apparently so rare or so transient in nature, may easily be known. Is it known? One check. Okay, it will be known. It will be very easily known. In nature, even with hermaphrodite plants, there is a vast amount of cross-fertilization among various individuals of the same species. Okay, cross-fertilization is from one plant to the other plant. Self-fertilization. Shown, huh? Okay. Okay. All right, no problem. All right. The inevitable result of this is to repress variation to keep the mass of a species comparatively homogeneous over any area in which abounds in individuals. That means the reason why the same thing is going on to other different plants is so that there can be some kind of a homogeneity. Okay, that means whatever new plants come now in that area would all look similar. Okay, what happened to starting from a suggestion of the late Mr. Knight, now so familiar that close interbreeding diminishes vigor and fertility, and perceiving that bisexuality is ever aimed in nature, being attained physiologically in numerous cases, where it is not structurally, Mr. Darwin has worked out the subject in detail and shown how general is the concurrence, either habitual or occasional, of two hermaphrodite individuals in the reproduction of their kind, and has drawn the philosophical inference that probably no organic being self-fertilizes indefinitely, but that a cross with another individual is occasionally, perhaps at very long intervals, indispensable. Meaning to say, no matter how much you can do by yourself, by self-fertilizing, okay, and no matter how many kind of species you can think of, no matter what homogeneity you achieve, you cannot. And he's looked at a lot of hermaphroditic things also. Okay, so such kind of species also he's looked at it, and then he's told that it's indispensable to cross. Okay, self-breeding is not going to be an acceptable or useful thing in the long term. That means no one can do it indefinitely. So you have to crossbreed. In domestication, this intercrossing may be prevented, and in this prevention lies the art of producing varieties. Okay, for example, let's say that now we were talking about dogs only, throughout this whole thing. So if you have a Labrador dog, you would look for Labrador dogs only to get him mated or get her mated. You're not going to look for pugs or small dogs like that, right? So when this kind of variation is eliminated, when interbreeding is eliminated, then what happens? New varieties are not going to come. That's what you're saying. Okay. But the art itself is nature, since the whole art consists in allowing the most universal of all natural tendencies in organic things, that's inheritance, to operate uncontrolled by other and obviously incidental tendencies. No new power or artificial force is brought into play either by separating the stock of a desirable variety so as to prevent mixture, or by selecting for breeders those individuals which most largely partake of the peculiarities which the breed is valued. So what does he mean by this? He means to say that all of this is in nature. You cannot randomly choose certain individuals which would definitely give you these characteristics of a newborn. Neither can you take individuals which would definitely not give that characteristics of a newborn. For example, you can take two IAS officers, okay, and their son or daughter might be a drug dealer. It's possible. I'm not saying that it is the case. I'm saying it's possible. You can take two drug dealers. Their son or daughter might become an IAS officer. Okay, so you can't take some kind of a case and expect the same kind of a result to come. There might be differences, no matter what you got. Where are we? Okay. We see everywhere around us that remarkable results which nature may be said to have brought under the artificial selection and separation. Could she accomplish? Who is this she over here? Nature. Very good. Could she accomplish similar results when left to herself? Variations might happen. We know they do in a wild state. But could any of them be preserved and carried out or carried to an equal degree of bleach? Is there anything in nature which in the long run may be answered to artificial selection? Basically, what's this article about? Chakra? Sir, what's this article about? Aishi? Okay. This is basically about genetic differences amongst breeds and the mechanisms in which you get those genetic differences. So this is a science-based article. It's very, very deep into life sciences. Yes, this is a dense article. Yes, this is a hard article. Okay? But if this comes in cat, you'll have to it. Okay? So let's look at it. Sorry? That is not that's humanity something, but not philosophy. Psychology, social psychology, sociology, so that's why I was asking you directly about this. थोड़ा सा mention करेंगे उसके बाद पता है. Yes. So what's the first answer here? Which of the following can be inferred from the paragraph of the passage? First paragraph of the passage. B, D, B, A. आपको पैसेज समझ में आए हैं? शरद, सुमन, D. You're still reading. Okay. Revati Nana. B. Kana. D. Fine. Take 1 minute. All of you need to give me this answer. I understand your confusion. See, that is why I said this is a dense passage. Ideally, till that case of pigeons is there, no? The case of pigeons, Charles Darwin's nature. Till there, huh? Okay, so one more line, two lines after that, right? Okay. Cool, got it. Primordial attraction. The reason why I said that it's okay with pigeons is because the idea we are getting till there. Yes, Chakri, are you ready? Yes. Okay. Can you tell me the answer? B for ball. Okay. Huh? D for dog. Okay. D for doggy. B for ball. Okay. Aishi. B. Okay. A. D. Shashwati. देख लो. Is my voice breaking again? Prabhat, is my voice okay or is it breaking again?
It's fine sometimes, but usually breaking.
I don't know. Maybe we are facing some network issue. Okay. Yes. D. Good. The right answer is D. Okay. Now, let's look at why it's not A first. Now, he's saying reversion leads to mingling of the races, and it has been known to be the case in many organisms in the wild. Now, does mingling of the species lead to reversion? Or does reversion lead to mingling of the species? Reversion is going back into the original species, correct? From original species, if you're getting any variations, you're getting breeding. So reversion does not lead to any mingling of races. Okay, so that we can eliminate. Now B part, how many of you said B? The oscillation of domesticated varieties means that, did you ask something? Okay. The oscillation of domesticated varieties means the deviations from their wild counterparts after they are separated. Okay. Now, why does it need to be wild counterparts only? What do you mean by after they are separated? What if I'm taking the original guy to be the guy here, this guy? Not this fellow. This fellow is the wild fellow. This fellow is the domestic fellow, no? Can this guy not act as center? You getting it? Now, see, domesticated varieties deviate their wild counterparts, and the phenomenon is universally irreversible as confirmed by Dr. Hooker. It's an extreme answer. Dr. Hooker did not confirm shit. Yes. So the option left is B. Let's check if that is true or not. Okay. Some form of deviation may result in species becoming highly different from their wild counterparts, and in this case, reversion is not true. What he's saying, even if you leave them off in the wild, okay, until there is a lot of mingling, it's not going to lead to reversion. Not that reversion is leading to mingling. That if there's a lot of mingling, and that mingling is in the same breed again, then it will go off to being the original species. So all the defects, think about it like this. You were at the original, okay? From original, you deviated 5%, you got breed 1. From here, you deviated 10%, you got breed 2. So if I want to make you back into the original, I need you to exactly cover up this 10% and exactly cover up this 5% only. Yes, not any 15%. exactly those things, exactly the way you were. That might not be possible. You might get a 15% change, but that could take you to some other unity. Okay? Are we all clear? Sakri? అర్థమైందా? ఇంకా ముందుకెళ్ళిపోతున్నా. Yes, please do this question. Oh, sorry. చూస్తున్నాం. భావన So all of you clear that it's C? Do I need to explain this? No? Can I move forward? Sorry. Huh? Oh, it's that one first. No, see, this passage, usually science passages are easy. This passage was hard to understand because it was very unfamiliar passage. For someone who has been reading biology, this matter would be very, very easy to understand because it will be like their regular reading. Yes? Answer. Okay. Everything? That answer. చూస్తున్నావా? Suman? D. B or D? Okay. Aishi? D. D. Why not C? Okay. All of you are clear this is B? Yes? It's almost a direct question. Okay, there's not much to infer from this. It's almost a direct question. The reason is, where can we get this from? This from? Yes, so Mr. Darwin's work has worked out the subject in detail and shown how. From that line, the next 5 lines talks about the same context. Okay. All right. So let's move on to the next question. Last question for this entire paragraph. Yes. Answer. Which one of the following sets of the words is closest mapping of a main argument of the passage? I think this is also very, very clear. Should be D. Yes, varieties, domestication, and nature. Yeah. Okay. So overall, if you look at it carefully, this passage was kind of hard to understand. But once you slowly understand it and make the diagrams related to it, passage ka questions were very easy to answer. There's no challenging questions. All options are distinct. You get direct answers from the passage. Okay. Okay. So should we go to the next passage? Oh, we have one more question, huh? Right. Okay. Sorry. Oh, no, no. My bad. Yes. How many of you have done this passage? You guys did it. It was correct. Two correct. Two correct. Okay. Three correct. Oh, all passages. Rest of you didn't attempt this. Why? Why? Oh, what is hard in this passage? Okay, so second one में time ज़्यादा हो गया. Did the second one take too much time?
I lost a lot of time.
You went with VA first. Yeah, this VA paper was a little different. It was not tough. It was different paper. Yes. Start. Those of you who didn't do it, please start. Ideally, I would not expect people to leave the passage. Okay, अब अब philosophy का हुआ है. I'm sure going to say yes. This is philosophy joint based. Yeah. Whatever the fight and indiscretion of some. Did you guys finish? Or should I be? I think no. Yeah. Suman, done. Okay, done. Bhuvana. Can I start? Yes. What does he say? Whenever, oh sorry, whatever the spite and indiscretion of some men may make them say, in excess of their discontent, virtue and truth always regain their advantage. అంటే ఏంటి, నోటికి వచ్చినట్టు పేరుతారు కొంతమంది, కానీ ఆడ మంచితనం ఏమొచ్చి बैक తెచ్చేస్తుంది. तो कुछ भी बक देते हैं कभी कभी तो, ठीक है, बट उनका भलाई, उनका मतलब जो भी अच्छा कर्म है, वो जो भी है, it brings them back, it always regains their advantage. ठीक है. I've known women whose reputation was long unjustly damaged. मतलब बिना कोई रीजन के उनके रेपुटेशन को डैमेज किया गया था, ये रीजन లేకుండా వాళ్ళ రెప్యుటేషన్ డ్యామేజ్ చేశారు. To restore themselves to the universal esteem of men by their constancy alone without any effort or sacrifice. Okay, and they restored their what is this reputation, okay, almost equal to the men, not almost equal to the men, just by constant efforts and with constancy alone and not with efforts or argument. Everyone repents. That means, what is repent? Constancy is doing something in consistent manner. Constancy ఒక్కటే. నువ్వు చాక్లెట్ ఒక్కటే తింటావు, ఐస్ క్రీమ్ బిస్కెట్స్ తిన్నావు, యూ ఈట్ చాక్లెట్ అలోన్, ఒక్కడికి కూర్చొని చాక్లెట్ తింటాను. No, again, it's actually a good question that you asked, because these are all modifiers. Did I teach you grammar? How much of grammar did I teach you? Okay. Did I teach you about modifiers? I did not tell you about modifiers also. One of the most commonly used phrases in this world is a modifier. I love you is a modifier where you use only. Okay. So 3-letter word, no? So 5 distinct places you can put the word only. Only, I love you. I only love you. I love only you. I love you only. Each of these 4 sentences give you different meanings. 4 different. The same way, alone also is a modifier. In this context, in this way, when it's used, it means you do this only. So modifiers, we'll do modifiers someday. But yes, where were we? Everyone repents. Repents ante enti? Huh? Yes. Feel sorry for their actions. Regrets, in simple words. Everyone regrets and takes back what he had believed of them. After being slightly suspect girls, they hold the first rank among ladies of virtue and honor. Someone said to Plato, everyone is speaking ill of you. Let them talk, he said. I live in such a fashion as to make them change their view. Okay. Did you guys understand what those 2 lines meant? Yes. Someone is speaking bad about you. Let them speak. You behave in a way that they'll only stop talking about you like that. Okay. Besides the fear of God and the prize of so rare a glory, which should incite women to preserve themselves, the corruption of our time forces them to and if I were in their place, there's nothing I would not do rather than entrust my reputation to such dangerous hands. That means there are a lot of things that women are supposed to do to preserve their reputation. Okay. And the corruption, that means all the malady in the time. Whatever is happening around and all, it kind of forces them to go through losing that kind of a reputation. And if the price of so rare a glory, that means if the price of preserving themselves is so rare and it's a glory, then even I would rather entrust my reputation to someone. That means I would rather give my reputation to someone to manage than what? Sorry, 1 minute. And if I were in that place, okay, there's nothing I would not do rather than okay. That means I would do anything but entrust my reputation into the hands of such dangerous people. Okay, it's a double negation over there. So I didn't see the double negation initial. That was saying why is the meaning changed? Okay, so there's a double negation in that sentence. What does it mean? If I was in that lady's position, or if I were in those ladies' position, I I would not do anything. Sorry, I would rather do anything than to just give my reputation or enter my reputation in the hands of evil people. Next, in my time, the pleasures of telling about it, a pleasure which yields little in sweetness to that of the thing itself, was permitted only to those who had some faithful and unique friend. Okay. Nowadays, the ordinary conversation at gatherings and the table consists of boasts of the favors received and the secret liberality of the ladies. Truly, one must feel abject and base in the heart beyond measure and allow these tender charms to be so cruelly persecuted, poured over, and ransacked by such ungrateful, indiscreet people persons. Very powerful line. Okay. To make you understand this line, I'll give you an example, a parallel. Have you ever gone to kitty party? Have you ever heard of kitty parties? Yes. Again, I don't know personally how kitty party is. Never been invited to one. Okay. But do you know that people bitch around about each other? Yes. People tell bad things about you at a party. Yes. कि तुम पार्टी जाके करती क्या है? जाती है दारू पीती है नाचती है आ जाती है ना? लोग ये नहीं करते. लोगों को ये नहीं चाहिए. देखो अरे पता है मेरा BMW कार लाया तो एमएलए का दूसरा कजन का जो भाई का स्पीकर है ना वही दिलाया इसको. So what he's saying is that there was a time, okay, in my time, in his time, there was a pleasure in telling about something. Whereas nowadays, the entire gatherings and everything has turned into something of point. It's become like, you're telling something so that you can boast about some kind of a gift you've got or you've given, or some kind of a secret liberality of the ladies. And then, yes, you're letting a woman these kind of thing. But the woman in my house is so free. Such kind of topics are being discussed instead of having actual conversations, is what he's trying to say. Okay. Now, see, if some of you might feel very heartily for the ladies, I can't help it. But yes, the author at that time was not a big fan of the woman. That much I can understand. Okay. You have to understand what the author is saying. No, I'm saying you should not worry about what he's writing. You should only worry about, this is written. How do I understand it? How do I answer? Okay. Where were we? Yes, this immoderate and illegitimate exasperation of ours against this vice. Vice is flaw. 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 Kami. Yeah, because they're bad habits, they're flaws. Okay, no, I get it. See, so there's this famous quote also. You have your aspirations, I have my vices. Meaning to say that, whatever you dream of, those are the bad habits of man. Okay, but vices are bad habits. Okay. Whatever and illegitimate exaggeration of our feelings, this vice is one of the most vain and tempestuous malady that afflicts human souls, which is jealousy. So at basic what is jealous? That one of the worst bad habits that you can cultivate is jealousy. Okay. To break that thing down and simply put it, It takes your hard work into vain. It's very temptuous. Okay. And what else is he saying? Jealousy and her sister envy seem to me among the most foolish of the true. That means out of all the vices. Okay. And please note how the tone is over here. If ever there comes a question, is the author very favorable to women, very unfavorable to women, is neutral towards women, you can definitely write unfavorable. Just look at it. He's talked about all these, what are these vices as a part of true, and jealousy and her sister. Both of these are female too. Okay, subtle cues he's giving. All right. Okay, sure. Sure.
How so even if the success shows like only lowest of the some studying
Okay.
are only affected by jealousy.
Oh.
So this is also has a state for not be
Finish that, then I'll tell you. Because the way I see it, he has a disdain for women. And he's comparing low-level men to women. So back in the day, in Greek and all, there's this concept of effeminacy. How do I put it normally? Okay, let us say that you were very political in nature and you were not ready to go to the war. Instead, you wanted to run the government and all. They call you a woman. అంతెందుకు ఇప్పుడు కూడా నువ్వు వెళ్ళవచ్చు వెళ్ళి బియర్ కాకుండా వోడ్కా ఆర్డర్ ఇచ్చావు అనుకో నేను అమ్మాయిని అంటాను. If you go to a bar and you order vodka instead of a beer, they'll call you a woman. Now, that is not having disdain for men. That's comparing your limit to that of someone else whom you are thinking is of a lower standard. In my opinion, that's what's happening here also. But let's see, once let us read through it, then I can answer with certainty if what you're saying is correct or what I'm saying is correct. What's the time by the way? Okay, fine. We'll do one thing. We'll stop this part here. We'll continue this part when we are doing our philosophy revision. Okay, I'll take this same passage up when we are doing philosophy revision. Because more than half of it is left. It will take me at least 15 moments. Utna time, 5 minutes tak to ho. Okay, yeah, let's stop this here. How many words in this did you not know? Let's phone